Okay, after letting things, I guess, mull away in the back of my mind for a few months, I've drawn up a 3D model of the church as it currently is, and what I think is a fairly simple and hopefully quite cost-effective way that we could refresh the interior of the building for when we meet again. So you'll recognise this, hopefully. It'll look enough like the way the building is. If we come up here and have a look, we can see how it is at the moment with the stage down the end and the pews aligned, and then the tables where we have some morning tea. Now, if we were to take away the current stage, then I think a fairly simple thing we can do, if you see at the far side, there is the storeroom that was built jutting out. Now, that has a sloping roof. The ceiling at the closest end is 3.1 metres, and it goes back to 2.7 metres beyond that. And I think that if we were to take out the current western wall and duplicate the storeroom, and in the diagram that I've got drawn here at the moment, that is just a complete duplication of the storeroom as it is, including the halfway deep wall. So that's a stage that has a little bit of a platform coming out into the existing auditorium, and then going back, the depth, which is about 2.9 metres halfway to the back of the room, and then there's some extra storage space behind that. If we did that, you'll notice I've also reopened the windows that had previously been boarded up on the southern end of the church. That doesn't have to be done straight away, but could be done later. Then we've got the chairs that we've purchased and a new stage. And so you can see the way it's designed there. There's around 200, bit more than 200 chairs. They're the actual size and spacing of the chairs that we have ordered. So you can see how that would work and still have the space for the morning tea as it currently is. This will now sort of take us back and walk in as if we were coming to church with this new arrangement, and we'll see what that looks like. So there's no change to the entry, still come through the foyer and the front doors as they currently are. But then as you enter, you'd be basically then coming in at the back of the auditorium and looking straight through to the platform. So this is the way things are. So the heights are all okay. There's the beam that's going from the pillar. So the height from the floor to the beam is 3.4 metres. And at the moment, the cutout for the stage is where the top of the door and little window that goes out to that size currently is. So that's kind of level with the ceiling height that exists in that storeroom currently. Depending on the height of any beam across there, that could be made higher, but it doesn't have to be. That height is workable. The church that we had in Torquay when we refurbished, we only had a 3 metre high ceiling through the whole of the building, and it actually worked remarkably well. This is what it would look like with, some people. And some people standing. So if you were to be standing, that's sort of the height, I guess, that you might be. So you can see that there are screens there. Now, at Torquay, we bought 60-inch TV screens, and they were remarkably effective as well. You could see them. You could see them from the back quite clearly. They didn't have to be as big as projection from a data projector because they were crisper and brighter. It also meant that you could have windows and lights. Now, we could put screens and a data projector back here, but the cost of screens and moving the data projectors, so on, the TVs are so cheap now, I would recommend that would be something that we would consider doing. It also gives quite a bit of flexibility. If we come around to have a look from the platform itself, you could sort of recognise that. If you're familiar with the building. Now, where it comes to morning tea, this has made no changes to anything at the moment. Now, you could, in theory, use the room that is the kinder for morning tea. It has a double-sided servery from the kitchen, so that could be used. It's quite pleasant with the windows and space out into the playground. We'd need to give some thought to room for kindergarten, etc., I guess, in those aspects, children's church, so on, but I'll talk about that in just a second as well. Remember, at this point, all we've done is take out a wall and duplicate the existing storeroom and potentially recarpet. Now, you can see what I've done here is actually put, some extra chairs, taken away a couple of the morning tea tables. So you can actually get 250 chairs in at the moment like that, which I think is a pretty reasonable size to expect to be able to cater for. Once that we've done that, you'll see there's a diagonal line on the lino where I think we could build some kind of a wall if we wanted to. Now that could be a stud and plaster wall to mimic the shape and wall on the other side. It could be just a half-height wall, it could be glass, it could be a folding concertina wall, it could even just be a curtain, or we could just leave it open again if that's what we thought was worthwhile doing. The other option, if we did do that, which loses a little bit of the space for morning tea, is continue to build and cover something as either just a covered patio type of arrangement or even make it to be something that's usable as a room, and that can be additional space for morning tea. That could even be space used for children's church if we thought we wanted to do that and have morning tea back in the existing kindergarten room. If we put the roof back on, come down and have a look at the way the church looks from where the current stage is. That's a view that I'm sure you're fairly familiar with. And again, as I'm saying, to achieve this, it's simply removing some bricks and building, a couple of walls and a little stage part. No load-bearing walls or beams or anything are changed, and I would propose that you don't make any of those kind of changes. This is designed to be a minimal cost way to bring a completely new look and feel. Come back and sort of as a look from what I guess is the current parents' room or cry room. It's more effective when it's at the back facing to the platform. And this gives you some idea of what it would be like seated in the congregation.